With us via telephone should be composer, arranger, producer, good friend of mine, one and only Gershon Veroba.
Hey.
Hey, Gershon, how you doing?
I am amazing. It's just, actually, I'm reading, I've been looking this morning. I see on the Schlager. Now I have to get better at my Hebrew to read the stuff that's being written in Israel now. It's an amazing trip.
It definitely is. Imagine if when you started off your career all those years ago, these platforms were available for you to reach the world at large.
It's the platforms. It's what made it. Look, the platforms the way they are now, digital and social media, made it possible for me to do what I always wished I was able to do. Because once I fell into what I was doing years ago, very difficult, actually impossible, as you saw, for me to change direction. Without making a big giant deal. So this is very big for me. It's really what I wanted to do for quite a while.
Well, first of all, Mazal Tov on the new album. I know you've been waiting long and hard for people to finally get to hear it and experience it for themselves.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy for that. And you know what's funny? Like the CD release party we had last week, there was no print ads anywhere.
No, it's funny. No posters, nothing in the street, nothing on the telephone poles.
We had a couple of social media messages that went out maybe a week prior, and you saw how packed that place was, Baruch Hashem.
Yeah, I'm not used to making parties. I like being a host when I do, but we know people that are constantly making celebrations and parties and simchas and get-togethers and stuff. I really wasn't sure. For all I knew, 5 people were going to come, and we were just going to do the best we could. And it worked out really well.
And Simcha Kranzer and the Kranzer clan stopped by, and I know your good friend Rami Weisberg stopped by. We had a couple other people, Sam Ash stopped by.
Right.
Kiss on by.
All my friends came by. That's right. Rami Weisberger came over, and it was great to see Simcha Kranzer with his family, his wife, his kids, his parents. It was just fantastic.
But I think the surprise for you, even though we were hoping he was going to show up, was the fact that Gad Elbaz came with Shlomi and the entire crew, and that you guys performed live, because that hasn't happened, I think, since you were in Israel a bunch of years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't a surprise. It was to a lot of people. I had spoken to them about it, and they were, and I had spoken to you about it for a while, and
right.
you weren't sure. You say, "You're sure? Are they gonna come? Isn't he gonna be busy?" Even he was saying that, and I think I knew better than all of you guys, including him. Come on, you're gonna come. Don't give me that. You're gonna come. You're not gonna rush out. You're gonna want to eat the Doghouse food. Doghouse has amazing food. You can't just come in and see one of those brisket hot dogs and just walk out.
How right you are at that. I remember how Shlomi looked like he was looking for the exit to go home, and then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, is ordering up 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, they're so used to being busy. We got to go and being crowded around. The crowd was really friendly and very sweet. So it wasn't like people clamoring for the star quality stuff. Or people wanted photos and autographs and whatever it was, but it was on a very friendly basis, very respectful, and we all had a blast because we were all eating the same food, and we were at the next table from the other family, and it was just a great venue.
Well, I definitely I agree with you, and I myself, I didn't do anything.
Yeah, you came with your family. I never get to see your family that often. It's great. That was great.
When I lived in Brooklyn, Gershon kept saying, "Come to the studio. We're working on this," and I would do it like remotely. I would help Gershon out with things, but to schlep to Far Rockaway was such.
I still tell you now because I keep on forgetting you're out there.
He still tells me now, and I'm like, it's like an hour and 40 minutes, Gershon. An hour
come
and
on,
40
just
minutes
pop out
each way. That's like almost 4 hours on the road.
Right.
It's hard to validate, but Baruch Hashem, I'm glad that you're seeing such a huge response. I don't know if we told you, but 3 spots on last night's Top 99, including number 1.
You know what's really cool? Because I saw Simcha Kranzer. I convinced him to get a Facebook thing because, Facebook's usual uses are not really the things that a lot of people consider valuable. They don't need the shtuyot of, talking and gossiping, so people stay away from a lot of social media.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to something like this, staying in touch with the people that you've created something with, so he finally got an account.
Right.
It's actually how we got together. I think you know this. He had contacted me. He found a way to get with somebody else's account to get into Facebook and contacted me with those songs, and that's how this history was made. But now he was posting about how he loved the album, and then I see that people were interacting with him and congratulating him on the album, and how two of the hits on your
two of his
countdown?
songs, yeah. And
two of them are his. So I'm seeing more congratulations in this particular instance to him, which is beautiful.
Definitely is.
It's like automatic pilot. I don't have to necessarily write and prompt people to make comments.
Now, let me ask you a question, Gershon. There are many budding composers who are complaining that it's really hard to get in touch with singers and to try to get them to listen to their songs. What's your response to that, Gershon Veroba?
Well, it is. I know that it is. I know. I see both sides. On one end, you get a lot of. I get this a lot. I get people that send me things, and you and I have spoken about it. People who were sending me stuff, like, for instance, they're still trying to send me good ideas for impressions or parody or adaptation, and I don't do that anymore. And the ones that they send me really aren't. There's no reason for it anymore. So I get those, but I still discuss it with these people. I still say why. I explain why I don't do it anymore. I explain why it's a good idea. And I say, you know what? You seem very talented with your lyric. Why don't you do this and do that, and maybe you can. And I enjoy spending time. Not everybody's able to do that, and they want to write to the other singers, the other performers, and the producers, and a lot of them, luckily for me, a lot of them skipped over a lot of these songs that are on the album. Yeah, a lot of these songs were, people said, well, it's funny. I think that was submitted to me a while ago. I never really looked at it. I didn't think it would work out.
Or I didn't know the arrangement would go quite that way.
It's not an easy thing. It's not so simple. Once you have a really nice song, and all due respect and credit to the writer, it's just the beginning. When you get it, you want to do it honor, and you want it to sound as close as possible. That's always been my thing, to sound as close as possible to the intention of the originator, whether it's copying an old hit or it's redoing a song, like when I did the Moshe Yes, the Yes Legacy thing.
True.
It had to be true to what Moshe had in mind, lishma, as we say.
Right.
It has to really be organic. It has to work. I think I've mentioned to you Rav Eitan Feiner, who I'm very friendly with, a wonderful, wonderful man. I'm not going to go. I'll be on the show all day.
Right.
And he was over for some coffee, and we sit, we talk, have a nice private conversation over a few things, and he came in and he listened to this album in its preliminary stages before the big arrangements were done, and he said that the songs that I had chosen were written in such a way that they belong with the music, the meaning comes through, and the rest of it is my job to try to perform it according to the way it sounds, so it comes true. And so far it seems that it's worked. Eli Schwab and Goldwag and Kranzer, they liked the way their songs came through. They said, this is what we intended. We pictured this.
Which doesn't always happen with singers.
It doesn't always happen. I hear compliments constantly from other people. They say, well, I didn't really expect it to sound like that, but it was very nice. They did a good job. It's very nice, and but they didn't picture it that way. I would prefer that, I say, isn't this what you pictured? They say, you know what, I pictured that, but you enhanced it, and it got to a level that I'd never believed, but it's still what I had pictured in my head. And that's the greatest compliment I can get from a composer.
Well, we got some questions here. Listener Shmuel in Woodbridge, Ontario, Canada, wants to know that he didn't expect you to do an album quite like this, more of a yeshivish album, but since it worked, what took so long?
Oh, man. I always wanted to do an album like this because it's not easy. The times have changed. The players have changed. The composers today and the producers today and the arrangers today, they're younger, and they're much more receptive to my ideas. And frankly, I'm older, and they look back and they say, oh, Gershon Veroba, sure, we know who you are, and we remember you, and there's a little bit of honor in there. So they listened to me. Back then, I didn't have a past.
Right.
So there were producers and stuff like that utilized me in big things. But I said, listen, this is what I want to do. I want to make a yeshivish album or something that would serve, even more so, I want to make an album that would serve that crowd in my way. And they said, but you're not, what do you want to be, Mordechai ben David?
Right.
You're not going to do that. I said, right, I'm not going to do that.
I want to do it my way.
Right, and they didn't like that. They said, no. And in a way, they were right. The audiences were not open for that. The audiences have always been scared. They've always been frightened of what the other person's going to think. What are my parents going to think? What are the Bachram at the yeshiva going to think? What's my Rebbe going to think? What are my kids going to think? Everybody's worried.
I definitely hear that.
People have loosened up a little bit. They've realized that there's not going to be any place to go if you ignore the influences out there. It's not a matter of whether something's goyish or what. It's a matter of whether it's appropriate.
Right.
And if you go by that, you will avoid the wrong things properly, and you will utilize the right things properly. You won't put Jewish words to a song that really doesn't have the right spirit to it, that is inappropriate. It's not a matter of goyish.
No, we had this in regards to the words Baruch Shem Kavod or Shema Yisrael, that there were beats that just didn't fit in with them, and just it kind of messed up the message of what those words mean. Right.
I'm still getting mail about this. People always felt, well, I always wanted to sing this song, so let's find some Jewish words, these.
Right.
These will rhythmically fit. Why not? Well, it may rhythmically fit, but it doesn't work. It doesn't. There's no reason for it. And you know my rule. I've repeated a million times, and my kids know it.
Yep.
If you take words, whether original or not, and put it together with music, whether original or not, there has to be a reason. Otherwise, why are you doing it? Just because you wanted to say those words, or just because you wanted to hear that melody? Then say those words, or sing that melody. Sing the original song.
Right.
Enjoy yourself. Recently, somebody asked me about that. I wanted to put these words with a Billy Joel song. It was a very good idea. Rhythmically is beautiful, and he's obviously very musical. Mm-hmm. But I explained to him, I said, you know what? We have to face the fact. Billy Joel came up with that melody first, and he put it to that song of his. Your job now is to come up with a great melody that maybe Billy Joel will say, I
wish I came up with that.
That's right. Sometimes you just can't redo the magic of a song. When I had to do impressions, I was faced with having to come up with albums, 10 songs, 12 songs that sounded either as good or better than the original.
Right.
You know how hard that is?
I do, because the other hand is also you have to touch songs that Lenny Solomon never performed.
Well, not only that, Lenny is more fortunate because Lenny's talent is and part of it is his attitude. Everything has to be wonderful and big, and Lenny is being Lenny, and Lenny has the talent of being able to fit words to songs. He says these are parodies. I always try to hide that. I try to make it as if it's the original.
Right.
Lenny just takes words and he takes them and he finds great twists and great little plots and puts them to the tunes of popular songs, and he does it well. That's what it is. I'm trying to make it a bigger, fancier art, and that Lenny will tell you he doesn't do that. He's very true to what he does.
Right. I got another question for you here. Listener Dove from Manchester. He says he wants to know if you were nervous about putting an English song on a quote-unquote more yeshivish album.
It's interesting because the formula that I did now, years ago, the famous composer we all know, had told me, listen, the formula, if you put more than one English song on a yeshivish album, it's not going to sell.
Correct.
Well, now everything's changed.
Right.
I am in the old school where I just put one English song, and a lot of the known guys are doing a few English songs. We're Americans. Nobody's fooling anybody. I'm not trying to fool anybody. They know that Gershon Veroba is an American. And for me to say, the challenge is to come up with a song with a true original message, with a true original melody. Mm-hmm. But it's got to relate to a person's tastes musically and to their lives lyrically. And that's what I feel Let Me Be is about. Does it sound like the other songs? Absolutely not. It's really kind of a very melodic blues pattern. One paragraph is like all the rest of the paragraph. It's really a blues number. Mm-hmm. It's actually a limerick. I've been waiting since forever, let me be. My family and the people set me free. Let me live like as I am, sharing peace with every man. It's my children, it's my land, so let me be. That's a limerick. I just decided to take the challenge of writing a bunch of paragraphs with the same melody. And if those paragraphs say the same thing over and over again, then I'm just boring the listener.
Correct.
But it's not what it is. It's 4 paragraphs that together create a very important message. And the message would actually be lacking if one of those paragraphs was missing. So it works out to be a good song. It's in English, and it's got a melody that's attractive to a Jewish audience. Therefore, it goes on the album and fits.
I agree with you. Listener Shauna in Beechwood, Ohio, says she enjoyed thoroughly your duets on this album with each of the artists, though her 2 favorite are Ari Goldwag and Gad Elbaz. She wants to know if in the future we're going to be seeing more collaborations from you and other artists.
Well, first thing we have to figure out is if I'm going to do another album. That's going to be...
Oh, come on, Gershon. You can't give the people an album like this and just disappear afterwards.
Yeah, well, I've worked hard on a fantastic album. My Reach Out album is one of my biggest prides and joy, and the people that have heard it understand. But it was not always enough to it's been 10 years since that.
Right.
But as far as what she said, and it's a very nice thing for her to say. The basic reason for the duets was because I want to show the audience that these people, do respect what I do, I respect what they do, and I can work alongside with them and not sound like some old man that doesn't belong in that song. That could have happened. I could have chosen an inappropriate song for me, or a song that sounds right for me, but wouldn't have gone well with Gad Elbaz, because God and I had gone through a lot of the material
That's
together.
True,
same
right.
thing. But I chose, as I did with Second Impressions, where I had various artists too. There are songs that are appropriate for another person's performance and their voice, and in this case, I was able to match that style as well and sing with them. And there's a special balance that I worked very hard to get to make sure that Gad Elbaz had his spot, has his moment, shows his stuff to the audience. Same thing with Ari Goldwag. I didn't want him just to come in so that I could say I had Ari Goldwag. I was Yotze with having Ari Goldwag in my song, and there he is back there in the harmony. I wanted Ari Goldwag. I wanted the performance, and that's why I put him in a song that's not necessarily his, because I want to show him as an artist, and an artist can take somebody else's
I like
song.
that the best, that you put him in a song that's not his.
Absolutely.
Listener Judy says she is so happy with the album. She says, thanks for your kind words, re Lenny Solomon and his parodies. And she also said that she is especially happy for breakout composer Simcha Krantzer, since he's a fellow Passaic resident.
That's right.
So I guess we are happy for that. Gershon Veroba talking to us via telephone about his brand new album, Ani Yisrael. Gershon, at the premiere, or at the release party, we premiered almost the final version of the brand new Ani Yisrael music video, which is, I believe, a first for you. This is your first music video ever, right, Gershon?
Yeah. The first music video. We do have another one in the works, but we're going to wait. First things first, one thing at a time. And Ani Yisrael, and we wanted to make it so that it's an inclusive thing. If you're born when you're born a Jew, and we say that bracha in the morning.
That's right.
You're born a Jew, and the actually Sha'asani Yisrael, that the bracha in that form is no longer in there.
No.
But it's so meaningful, though, and that's what Eli Schwab brought out in the meaning of his song, as it was inspired by his son Yisrael, his 4-year-old son at the time. And it says you are a Yisrael. So as I was realizing, you come to Israel, that means I'm an Israeli. Now I got to figure out how to get used to the life and not look like a tourist, and know how to cross the street without getting hit by a cab, and enjoy myself in the desert, not just looking at the scenery, but taking part in it, and enjoying the beautiful dust of Eretz Yisrael. Remember our parents, when they would take that rare trip to Israel, they'd come home with a little bottle of dirt. This is dirt from Israel. This is holy dirt.
That's right.
And here I am. I'm dancing in it because it's my home, and that's what I wanted to show, that you're part of it. And yeah, you can learn how to be like an Israeli. You can even make falafel. Falafel stand. It's just a fun romp through Eretz Yisrael, filmed mainly in around the Machane Yehuda, Central Yerushalayim area, and then out in the deserts by Yam HaMelach and the Judean desert, just to show beauty and connection to Israel, to Eretz Yisrael, because it's where we are from.
That's right.
Intrinsically.
And where we're going to end up eventually.
Where we were born.
That's right. Where we're going to end up eventually. And this was like literally 6 months of hard work, 2 trips to Israel. So this was not some...
Actually, it was 3. Remember, I went in March to get
I forgot about that. That's right.
That's right, because I went preliminarily to talk to Yitzi Berinelli Klein, to talk to Leib Yaakov Rigler, and to talk to Yerachmiel Ziegler and get the video stuff together. And then that was for a week and a half, and then 3 weeks during the summer, which happened to have been when my son was there with B'nai Akiva, and my daughter lives there, so we were all together. It was fantastic. He came, actually, he was there during the filming at 4 o'clock in the morning in the desert, so that was a beautiful thing. And then I had to go back for some more technical stuff for about a week or so, and it was like, I walked in like I was home. It was like nothing.
Well, at the third point, that was listener Yehuda Bradley's checking in from Israel, says, please send Gershon my best. I love the new album. I'm glad to hear you're interviewing him. Can't listen live now, but I'll check out the archives later. So Yehuda, thanks for that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, now it's on iTunes. We just found a very wonderful mistake that they're correcting. They put the iTunes put all the songs in Hebrew.
That's right.
Just buy the album. The album is put together as a collection that you listen to from beginning to end, and you take a breath and you listen to it again.
That's
and the guarantee that I always give, what's the guarantee? I gave it to you the other night. Remember the guarantee? The guarantee is that you will not listen to it less than 4 times.
Oh, that guarantee, right.
It's a special thing to have an album that you want to hear again and again.
It's funny. I think the first time I listened to it, I was on a 2-hour trip. I must have listened to it at least 3 times. Gershon Veroba via telephone. The new album on Yisrael, available on iTunes as of last night. You can buy it there. You can also buy it on veroba.net, Gershon Veroba's website. It's available in stores through Nigun Music in America. In Israel, it's available through Hoshen or Zab, Gershon?
Hoshen is connected with a distributor there that's putting it in the stores. You'll be able to get it at Galpaz and all those. There's so many stores change, but Galpaz is always there.
That's
so you look for it. If you can't find it, tell them. They know where to go.
And as far as the new video dropping, you said it should be dropping in the next week or so, correct?
Yeah.
So I guess stay tuned to Gershon Veroba's social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or the website for more information as far as the video. Gershon, I want to wish you much hatzlacha. I'm looking forward to our next project. That's all I got to say.
Oh, let me rest up.
Gershon, have a wonderful day. Great winter. Keep warm over there.
Oh, and by the way, just very important, please remember that we dedicated this album to Yossi Piamenta, my beautiful friend, and also to Larry Gates, who we lost just after the release. And Larry made so much of this album sound as fantastic as only he could have.
And it was great. And it was great that you actually physically got to show Larry the artwork and the mixes and the masters before he passed away. He did get to hear. I would say this is probably the last album he worked on, Gershon.
It is.
And that's very special for the two of you.
Yeah.
Anyways, may his memory be remembered only for good, and the world will definitely miss him.
Amen.
Gershon, thank you very much.
Thanks, Yossi.
We'll be in touch.